I think we are starting on 36, correct? Genesis
Yeah.
36. And then it is basically the genealogy of Esau. So there's apparently some important stuff in here um, that we need to know, although my Tony commentary is very short on it.
Did we read all the commentaries for the end of
Did we?
35? I do.
Mine
Yeah,
is
I think we did.
mine's
Yeah, we
marked.
did.
So I'm
Yeah.
usually the last one.
Okay.
Okay, how long is Worsby for 36?
He's not very long at all. It's just about a column.
Okay. Kim, there's a lot of names in here. So if you don't want to read the whole thing, you can just stay where you're at and ask someone else to read. Just pick somebody.
I'll do my best.
You do a good job on this, so I have faith.
Thank you. All right. Esau's descendants, Genesis 36. Here is a list of the descendants of Esau, also called Edom. Esau married three local girls from Canaan. Ada, daughter of Elon the Hethite. Aholibama, daughter of Anah, and granddaughter of Zibeon the Hivite. Basemath, his cousin. She was a daughter of Ishmael, the sister of Nebaioth. Basemath. Oh, I'm sorry. This cousin, yeah. Esau and Ada had a son named Eliphaz. Esau and Basemath had a son named Ruel. Esau and Oholibama had sons named Jeush, Jalam, and Korah. All these sons were born to Esau in the land of Canaan. Then Esau took his wives, children, household servants, cattle, and flocks, all the wealth he had gained in the land of Canaan, and moved away from his brother Jacob to Mount Seir, for there was not land enough to support them both because of all their cattle. Here are the names of Esau's descendants, the Edomites, born to him in Mount Seir. Descended from his wife Ada, born to her son Eliphaz, were Timon, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, Kenaz, Amalek, born to Timnah, Eliphaz's concubine. Esau also had grandchildren from his wife Basemath. Born to her son Ruel were Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, Mizah. Esau's grandchildren became the heads of clans as listed here. The clan of Timon, the clan of Omar, the clan of Zepho, the clan of Kenaz, the clan of Korah, the clan of Gatam, the clan of Amalek. The above clans were the descendants of Eliphaz, the oldest son of Esau and Ada. The following clans were the descendants of Ruel, born to Esau and his wife Basemath, while they lived in Canaan. The clan of Nahath, the clan of Zerah, the clan of Shammah, the clan of Mitzah. And these are the clans named after the sons of Esau and his wife, Oholibama, daughter of Anah. The clan of Jeush, the clan of Jalam, the clan of Korah. These are the names of the tribes that descended from Seir, the Horite, one of the native families of the land of Seir, the tribe of Lotan, the tribe of Shobal, the tribe of Zibeon, the tribe of Anah, the tribe of Dishon, the tribe of Ezer, the tribe of Dishan. Dishan. There's a Dishon and a Dishan. The children of Lotan, the son of Seir, were Horai and Haman. Lotan had a sister, Timnah. The children of Shobal, Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, Onam. The children of Zibeon, Aiah, Anna. This is the boy who discovered a hot springs in the wasteland while he was grazing his father's donkeys. The children of Anna, Dishon, Oholibama. The children of Dishon, Hamdan, Eshban, Ithran, Cheran. The children of Ezer, Bilhan, Zavan, Achan. The children of Dishan, Uz, Iran. These are the names of the kings of Edom before Israel had her first king. King Bela, son of Beor, from Dinaba in Edom, succeeded by King Jobab, son of Zerah, from the city of Bozrah, succeeded by King Husham, from the land of the Temanites, succeeded by King Hadad, son of Bedad, the leader of the forces that defeated the army of Midian when it invaded Moab. His city was Avith. Succeeded by King Samlah from Masrekah. Succeeded by King Shaul from Rehoboth by the river. Succeeded by King Balhanan, son of Achbor. Succeeded by King Hadad from the city of Paul. King Hadad's wife was Mehetabel, daughter of Matred, and granddaughter of Mezabhab. Here are the names of the sub-tribes of Esau, living in the localites named after themselves. The clan of Timnah, the clan of Alva, the clan of Japheth, the clan of Oholibama, the clan of Elah, the clan of Pinyan, the clan of Kenaz, the clan of Teman, the clan of Mibzar, the clan of Magdiel, the clan of Iram. These then are the names of the sub-tribes of Edom, each giving its name to the area it occupied. All were Edomites, descendants of Esau.
Good job.
Don't ask me what I just read.
I was trying to follow along, like, and circle, and then I'm like, okay, there's got to be like these main points that I'm making too many notes here. But what I find interesting is, like, we read through the genealogies, like they don't have much meaning, like, but they really do, because what I learned with like Adam through Noah is there's 10 generations, and Adam died 50 years before Noah was born. So all the generations between Noah or Adam and Noah, they knew each other.
Yeah.
They passed down like, because they were living 1,000 years or 800 years or 900 years. So when you think about like Adam dying 50 years before Noah was born, that's a pretty big deal to understand that, and that's why it puts all those years in there.
That's what I was wondering. How many years old then was Adam when he died? 800 something?
Yeah, we'd have to go back and look at the genealogy, but I felt like it was like 900 and something.
Was it? Okay.
But I mean,
Wow.
when you think about that, how we always think of them, or I always thought of them as like these separate stories, but they're really overlapping each other.
Yeah.
And so, like all the stories of Enoch, like we just get that one little thing, Enoch walked with God, but they all had a relationship with him, and Methuselah, and all those generations. All right, Cindy, did anything say that to you guys?
Mine sort of synopsis it in 36:9. I don't know if you want me to read that, and then it goes into 36:31.
What is yours? What are you talking?
It sort of like compresses it all those different tribes. It says about the Edomites sprang from Esau and dwelt in the hill country of Seir. They were inveterate enemies of Israel. Although God forbade his people to hate or despoil them, and it has references in Ezekiel and Deuteronomy and Corinthians, Edom became a symbol of the hardened unbelief and hostility of the world to the people of God, and as such was declared by the prophets to be the object of God's wrath and conquering power in the last days. For any king reigned may be regarded as an indication that this phrase, or perhaps the whole list, was incorporated after the Israelite monarchy began, or as a prophetic revelation of the kingdoms of Saul and David.
Yeah, I was trying to remember. There's something that like kind of hit me that they worded differently. Oh, about the guy finding the hot springs. Like they pointed out that he like found those hot springs. So I wonder what the significance is there, because that was a little different than all the other ones.
I have a little footnote about the Edomites. It says the Edomites were descendants of Esau who lived south and east of the Dead Sea. The country featured rugged mountains and desolate wilderness. Several major roads led through Edom, for it was rich in natural resources. During the Exodus, God told Israel to leave the Edomites alone in Deuteronomy 2:5 because they were brothers. But Edom refused to let them enter the land, and later they became bitter enemies of King David. The nations of Edom and Israel shared the same ancestor, Isaac, and the same border. Israel looked down on the Edomites because they intermarried with the Canaanites.
So God told the Israelites to leave the Edomites alone in the Exodus.
Yep, Deuteronomy 2:5.
That's what mine references 4-6, Deuteronomy 2:4-6.
That's interesting. I mean, I do feel like, when God, between Isaac and was it Ishmael? Like he said he would bless both of them. Like I do feel like he honored his word in doing that, even though Isaac would have been the one chosen. All right, Cindy.
Okay, an overview 1 to 19. The taking up of the history of Jacob, the next patriarch, is preceded by a fairly detailed genealogy of Esau, to which is appended both the genealogy of Seir the Horite, whose descendants were the contemporary inhabitants of Edom, and a listing of Edomite kings and chiefs. Jacob's and Esau's posterities, as history would go on to show, would not be in isolation from each other as originally intended. They were to become bitter enemies, engaged with each other in war. Verse 7, too great for them to dwell together. Crowded grazing and living conditions finally clinched the decision by Esau to move permanently to Edom, where he had already established a home. Since it was Abraham's descendants through Isaac and Jacob who would possess the land, it was fitting for God to work out the circumstances, providentially keeping Jacob's lineage in the land and moving Esau's lineage out. It is not revealed if Esau had understood and came to accept the promises of God to Jacob, although his descendants surely sought to deny Israel any right to their land or their life. Verse 8, Mount Seir. This was divinely assigned as Esau's place. Verse 15, the chiefs. This term, ruler of 1,000, apart from one exception, is used exclusively for the tribal princes or clan leaders, the political military leaders in Edom. It may suggest a loosely formed tribal confederacy. 31 to 30.
Are they saying they oversaw? Were they saying they like their each tribe was like 1,000? Or is that just
Chiefs means, the word chiefs means ruler of 1,000. (31 to 39). Kings before any king of Israel. Sandwiched in the genealogical details of Edom is a statement prophetically pointing to kingship in Israel. The king's list does not introduce a dynasty, each ruler not being the son of his predecessor.
what verse are you on?
It's an overview of 31 to 39 in
Okay,
reference
sorry.
to king.
Oh, there it is, kings. That's what I was looking for, the word king.
Kings
What-
more
I'm
like
sorry, what did it say about that? Because I was looking for it. It was a pre what?
it's a statement prophetically pointing to kingship in Israel.
Thank you.
Kings more likely suggests rule over a more settled group than tribal groups. 43. Father of the Edomites. The closing title of the genealogy calls attention to the Lord's words to Rebekah at the birth of her sons. 2 nations are in your womb. Here was the nation from the older son. And that's it.
Any thoughts on that before Kathy starts with Worsby? Oh, I spelled chief wrong.
Okay. We trust that Isaac and Jacob experienced a complete reconciliation and that the old patriarch died full of years, as did his father. Esau came from Mount Seir to pay his respects to his father and to assist Isaac in burying him in a cave of Machpelah. Esau was a man of the world and not a child of the covenant, but he was still Isaac's son and Jacob's father, and he had every right to be there. Death is a human experience that begins human pain to our hearts, and caring for the dead is a responsibility for all the family, believers and unbelievers. But Isaac's death changed Jacob's status. He was now the head of the family and the heir of the covenant blessings. He not only acquired Isaac's great wealth, but he also inherited all that was involved in the Abrahamic covenant. His God would be known as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's quite a contrast between the record of Jacob's family in 35, verses 23 to 26, listing 4 wives and 12 sons, and the long list of people who belonged to Esau recorded in chapter 36. There are 6 lists of names, including sons. This is going to be chapter 36, and it's let me go back. It's a little confusing. There are 6 lists of names, including sons, verses 1 to 14 and 20 to 28. And there are lists of chiefs, verses 15 to 19, 29 to 30, 40 to 43, and kings in verses 31 to 39.
Can we do that again? So I can.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Yeah.
The list of the 12 sons is verses 1 to 14
Okay,
and
1 to
20 to
14. Go ahead.
right, 1 to 14 and 20 to 28.
Okay.
The lists of chiefs are verses 15 to 19, 29 to 30, and 40 to 43. And the list of kings is verses 31 to 39. And then it says, and there appears to be duplication.
Where they could be more than one position?
I guess it says compare verses 10 to 14 with 15 and 19. And it does kind of list, if you look at those, it does kind of list those names again in both of them.
Well, I think the other thing we have to keep in mind too is like because when Isaac and Ishmael, didn't Ishmael have 12 sons too? Or am
Yeah.
I thinking Esau?
And I think Ishmael did too, if I remember.
Because they had their own nation. All these twins and it gets confusing.
And then it also said to compare 20 to 28 with 29 to 30. So apparently there's duplicate in there too. Esau had his,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
Where were the two areas, 15 to
10 to 14 compared with 15 to 19.
versus, I'm sorry, 15 to 19?
Yes.
And then
And then compare 20 to 28 with 29 to 30.
29 and 30?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Esau had his share of material blessings, but Jacob possessed the covenant blessings from the Lord. And there's a note here. Jacob and Esau separating from each other reminds us of what happened to Abraham and Lot.
I didn't even know though that Jacob moved back. I thought he was like 20 miles from Esau. Remember, because he was supposed to go to Esau and then he went a different direction and then he was like away from him. So did he then move back when his dad died? Because I guess he would have because he was the birthright. He had the birthright.
Yeah. Genesis 36 is a long chapter containing many names, but it's the end of the story as far as Esau is concerned. The Edomites are named in the Old Testament only because they are part of the story of Israel. Esau and Edom, the avowed enemies of the Jews, are mentioned over 200 times in the Bible, but Jacob and Israel are found over 2,000 times. Esau's son, Eliphaz, was the father of Amalek, and the Amalekites were also Israel's enemies. And there are references to Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and 1 Samuel.
Okay, so Amalek is the one that becomes a pain to Israel, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
And then, okay, give me what it said about that again.
Esau's son, Eliphaz, was the father of Amalek, and the Amaleks were also Israel's enemies.
Okay, so Amalek's A-M-E-A.
Amalek
E-K-I.
is Amalek, and then the Amalekites, Amalekites.
Amalekites, Israel's
Enemies.
Because I think isn't the king of the Amalek, weren't they supposed to kill him or something?
You know, it's probably in some of these references, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and 1 Samuel.
Yeah. Can you give those to me? Exodus.
Okay, Exodus 17, verses 8 to 16.
Okay.
Numbers 14, verses 39 to 45.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 25. I think it's supposed to be verses 17 to 19.
Okay.
And 1 Samuel 15.
Okay.
And it
Thank
says
you.
Genesis 37 takes up the story not of Esau, but of Jacob. These are the generations of Jacob. Is the 10th occasion for a generation statement in Genesis, and it introduces the story of Jacob's favorite son, Joseph, with all their weaknesses and faults. The sons of Jacob will carry on the work of God on earth and fulfill the covenant promises God made to Abraham. So that's just kind of where we're going in chapter 37, apparently.
So he's not saying it's the end of Esau's generational history, just Esau himself. When he says this is the end of Esau's story. Because we
Yeah,
definitely
I
see
think,
Amalekites later.
yeah, I think it's kind of like not really mentioned, maybe, kind of the way it sounds a whole lot after.
All right, my 36 is very short. It says a major shift in the narrative is about to take place. This is indicated by means of the extended genealogy. The author gives genealogical record of Esau as a way of closing the book on Esau and his family, just as he had done for Cain in chapter 4. That's an interesting point. Noah's sons in chapter 10, Lot in chapter 19, Ishmael in chapter 25. As God promised, Esau's descendants would grow into a nation of his own, the Edomites in the mountains of Seir. This, however, was a nation forged after the flesh with a series of kings who promoted their own agendas. Any thoughts? Extra readings?
So the Esau and the Edomites, they were not godly people, correct? But God told Israel to leave them alone and not fight with them.
Because he was honoring them too. But remember, Esau went off and married the Canaanite women, and then he went back and married his cousin's kid, and
I'm
he was the one
curious.
that had no regard for the Lord.
These women's names too. I was just looking back at Genesis, these descendants of Cain, uh, which I have another question, but I'm not going to bring it up right now but anyway, one of Cain's descendants married a woman named Ada,
Oh,
and there's an Ada here too that's Esau married from Canaan. I wonder if they used, if those women's names carry down.
How do you spell that, Kim? That Ada?
A D as in David, A H. A D A H. And it's the Ada in Genesis is Cain's wife is chapter 4, verse 19. And here it's 36, chapter 4. I mean, verse 4. I think there's also another Timnah back
As
here.
I say, in my book, there are two Adas.
Uh-huh.
They have it listed number 1 and number 2, and the first one, the Ada, the co-wife, Ada and the co-wife Zilha are the first women to be named after Eve. So that would have been in that timing. And then you're going to where we're at now with Esau for the next 8.
Yeah.
If you go to chapter 25, also, that's where we learned about Esau. And then it was quoting, I guess, out of Hebrews 12:16, that Esau was profane, no godly standards accessible to anyone. And I had a note back there too that genealogy always indicates a shift in the plot, which is what he was saying here. Like this genealogy is showing a shift in the plot. I think I have to make that note again because if I wouldn't have looked back.
Here's an interesting, kind of an interesting fact where it's talking about the second Ada. It said scholars are agreed that this Ada is the base math of Genesis 26 and chapter 36. Women received new names when they married. Bullinger suggests that this second name was dropped in Genesis 36:2 to avoid confusion with the daughter of Ishmael. In Genesis 26, we have a general history, but in Genesis 36, it's precise genealogy. So I guess what struck me there was they're getting a new name to avoid confusion. It's still confusing to me, but maybe it wasn't to them.
Any other
This
thoughts?
this
Oh.
little bit.
Well, oh,
Go ahead.
oh, well, so Cain, Lamech was a descendant of Cain, and he married the first Ada. And then it was also Lamech who birthed Noah. Lamech was 182 years old then when his son Noah was born. I wonder who was Noah's mother.
Mrs. Noah.
Mrs. Lamech, it would have been Mrs. So Lamech's wife was Ada, and Lamech's son was Noah. So it was either Ada or Zillah.
I feel like it was Zilla. Want me to Google?
Yeah.
Who was Noah's mom? Nama, wife of Lamech and daughter of Enoch.
I was going to say in here it says that
It doesn't.
Lamech's wife, Ada, had two sons, Jabal and Jubal.
Hmm.
It says it doesn't explicitly name Noah's mother, but Jewish tradition often identifies her as Naamah, wife of Lamech, daughter of Enoch.
Huh.
That would be another connection to Enoch.
Yeah, and Enoch's son was Methuselah.
Yes. Who God named that, saying that the curse would come after he died, and he lived the longest because God was putting off judgment.
Well, okay, I have a question then. So Methuselah had a son named Lamech. And then, so that's a different Lamech than Cain's Lamech.
I would think.
There are two Lamechs. I remember we talked about that.
Okay. You have a good memory, Kathy.
Yeah.
And that name you said, Chrissy, that Naamah,
Yes.
which tradition says is Noah's mother.
Yeah.
There are actually two of them.
That's what's so confusing.
That name.
And then if they live 900 years,
Yeah.
I'm going to get on Stan to get that map thing up on the wall at church because it shows the different generations and the people and when they lived and died and all of that. It's really fun to look at. So
I'd love to see that.
mhm.
Kathy, are there two Tinmas?
Spell it.
Timah.
T, yeah, um,
Timah.
yeah, I think so.
Well, there's a Timna, Timna in here.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. It's not listed to, well, two women bear this name. First, there was a concubine of Eliphaz, the son of Esau, who
Yeah,
became the mother of Amalek. It is
yeah.
most likely that she was taken as a slave during the war between the Edomites and the Horites. She's referred to as a sister of Lotan. The other female with the same name, but sometimes given as Timnah, Timnah, was probably the daughter of the previous Timnah, Timna. So it sounds like the second one is a daughter of the first one.
All right.
There.
Are we ready? We're
Second verse, same as the first. I'm Henry. Okay, sorry.
So
All
not
right.
only do they have the same names, but they changed the spelling of it too.
It's interesting because that book that Stan and I are reading in the morning, it was showing like, because he's really building the case for the Book of Enoch and the credibility of it, not as scripture, but as a historical text. And one of the things he shows in there is the story of the flood, and he lists the gods, and there's the Greek name of the gods, and then there's the Roman name for the gods, but they're talking about the same God. And it's like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm so confused all the time. All right, are we ready for our trivia? Because we are over by 5 minutes. Who would have known that genealogy could be so interesting? Joe Hill would love this study. Julie, Angie, you playing? You guys know this. You ready? Who was Ahab's wife?
Jezebel.
Florida beat you to it. Yes, you can find that in 1 Kings chapter 16, verses 30 and 31.
I think she has these cards.
Yeah, she's probably got them in order, like preparing. Okay, this concludes the reading of God's word for today. We'll see you tomorrow.
For sure and for certain.
Enjoy the amazing heated day out there today.